Okay, this is better. I hope you can hear me. Uh, it has been quite the day, and it is not even 4 o'clock yet. Okay, and it's only been quite the day because, oh man, okay, so don't look up. There's a halo light there. It's only been quite the day because I'm not as prepared as I'd like to be. Not even just for this. I just mean like in general. I got rehearsal. I came in late from rehearsal. I'm leaving the country tomorrow, so I'm just trying to squeeze in all the things of life that need to be done, and I haven't quite done that yet. So with that being said, I am Tanikka Charraé. I am a singer. I am a songwriter. I am a performer, a professional singer, professional songwriter, professional performer. I have an agency called The Background View where I pair elite vocalists with artists. And in addition to that, educate vocalists on having a professional career, what that looks like, and maintaining it. So helping singers become busy. Whoa. Helping singers to become business savvy singers. And dum dum dum. Yesterday we discussed when is it time to get a manager? And today we discuss when is it time to bust out a contract? Contracts. We are discussing contracts. Now, not in depth, but let me put out first of all, if you like this content, if you like this channel, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Please also feel free to share with all of your singer friends, all of your musician friends, all of your creative friends. All right, we're going to jump right into it because I literally have to go to rehearsal. But the topic today is when is it time to bust out a contract? Yes, you heard me. That's right. And the first disclaimer that I have to say is I am not a lawyer. I cannot advise. I cannot give any type of legal counsel. So anything that I say on here is just based off of my own experience, friends' experiences, and just what I know. I won't even say to be true because I don't want to be held to that neither. But what I've just seen and what I've experienced, or what I've experienced from afar. So contracts. They are really, really, really important. The contract basically spells out an obligation and who is responsible for it, which party has what responsibility for whatever it is that is created, whatever it is that is established. So if we're talking about artist manager contract, typically the duties of the manager is spelled out and what is to be expected of the artist, and that's spelled out within the contract. And when you don't hold to each of those things, whatever party or both parties, then you are what is called in breach of contract. So that's just that example. If we're talking about a record label, when you sign your contract, you might be required to produce a certain amount of albums before you are released from said contract. If we're talking about a contract between songwriter and producer, you might have a contract where you are saying that you are 50% involved with this project, and you're going to write the songs, the producer is going to compose the songs, and you guys have both agreed to shop whatever song or songs, that's how I wanted to say it, to whomever. And then from there, you guys would split the proceeds 50-50 in terms of whatever your portion that you are given. There are publishing contracts. There are artist to artist contract. Hey, I want you to be featured on my new single coming out. That requires 16 bars. You're going to get this amount of contract. Songwriter to songwriter contract. Okay. I've contributed this to the song and you have contributed this to the song. This is the intent of what we plan to do with the song. And yeah, if something else happens, say instead of us, say we both went in just the songwriter to songwriter contract, with probably I would assume a producer, unless the songwriter is the producer, which is another thing. But nonetheless, so say you say, okay, we're going to take this song and we're going to shop this song, and our goal is to have SZA pick up this song. So when we get that song picked up, then you and I are going to split the proceeds of that, because you've contributed 50% and I've contributed 50%. Contracts are very important. Split sheets, which is also considered it's a contract in essence, because it's spelling out who did what. What is a split sheet? A split sheet is when you oof, sorry for the lines. When you writing a song and somebody else is writing a song, and you're saying, okay, I wrote the hook to this song, I wrote the second verse to this song, you wrote the vamp to this song, you wrote the first verse to this song, together we wrote the rap. So I would say it would be an evenly 50-50 situation. It's the split, it's the breakup of what each person has contributed to the record. You've also have I mean, there's so many contracts, right? So I just gave you an example, excuse me, of a few contracts. Now, the real question is, because we are not exploring contracts, I'm just giving you an idea of what contracts are and what different contracts exist. There are a plethora, as such an overused word, but there are a plethora of other contracts that I have not mentioned that actually exist. Now, what I would say is, because our topic today is not necessarily specific contracts, but when is it time to bust out a contract? And how do you do so? I mean, the how do you do so is like kind of relative. But when is it time to bust out a contract? I am a firm believer. Look at my pants. Let me get my attention together. I am a firm believer that busting out contracts are necessary and crucial. And if not a specific like spell out of contract, there should be some level of accountability. What do I mean by that? Here's an example. I'm in the studio. I'm in the studio with my producer, and he's like, hey, Nick, here's a track. I know you're going to kill this. All right. So, this is a mediocre example, I guess. So here's the track, yo. Take all the time you need. You want to write it here? Yeah, yo. Let me just write it here. I'll write it in the studio. So already off the rip, we're kind of at 50-50, because he's composed this music and he's given me this track to actually contribute lyrics. So from there, that's not so much rocket science. But where does it start to get sticky? It gets sticky where I go, man, okay, hold on. I don't know what rhymes with cat. And he's like, bat. And I go, bat. Okay, well, I want to say that, my I rock these furs, silky like a cat, and I don't really know where I want to go at right after that. And he's like, well, you can say pitch black panther, almost like a bat. I don't know, guys. I'm just literally Dr. Seussing out here. And I go, oh my gosh, that's dope. Now, has it not become 50-50? Has it still remained 50-50? Not quite. He's contributing now to the lyrics. So then I go, oh. So then I go, okay, that's cool. I think I'm going to use that line. That's what's up. Now, I mean, one line, a lot of people will still be like, you can 50-50, you can 50-50 me. Like, I'm not that, concerned. Now, what happens though, if I go, I'm just gonna pick something I already know because my brain is not in creative mode fully. But if I say, yo, I wanna write hip hop hooray, oh, hey, oh, hip hop hooray. That's the hook I hear. And the producer goes, maybe hip hop oh, that don't even make sense. Hip hop hurrah, hey, ho, hey. And I'm like, yo, that's way lit. I should probably have said it backwards. Like I should have said, like I said hip hop hurrah, hey, hip hop hurrah, hey. And then he was like, I'm feeling where you going with that, but what about hip hop hooray, ho? And then you go, ooh, that smacks way harder. Now that's a hook. A hook is really crucial. Okay, you flip that. We kind of both collaborated on that, but it is a hook and it's strong, and that's usually the thing that's reeling people in. And then he goes, "What if what if you open it like hip hop, hip hop, hip hop parade?" Ooh, that's lit. Okay. And then he says, I want you to also do like, yo, let's call in some people and maybe like have like a couple people like to hip hop parade, like in like almost choir style, but like hip hop style. Okay. Now he's contributing to the song. Okay. Now he's giving me more than just some lyrics. Now he's giving me ideas. Now he's giving me he's helping to form the song. And now this is beyond just him composing it. He's contributing ideas. So now the splits are about to be a little unbalanced. We're not necessarily 50-50 anymore. Now it's kind of like maybe 55 45, maybe 60-40. Hip Hop Array was a real strong record, and a lot of it because of that hook. Like as simplistic as that hook was, that hook really had some punch to it. Like that hook was like, oh yeah, Hip Hop Array, that's my jam. Are you kidding me? For those who do not know what Hip Hop Array, this is a hip hop record by OPP. Anyway, so what am I saying? I'm saying that in that session, as I'm writing, a lot of times what I like to do is like I usually write the song like in the session, and the person who's contributed something to that song, I'll write their name or their initial next to it. Because what happens is when you're in such a flow, you legit forget. And it's not necessarily that you forget like, I ain't trying to get them their credit, or, oh, we the same person, or I was thinking about that. No, it's kind of like once you kind of marry yourself to the idea and the creativity of it, it's kind of like okay, I came up with the cadence, right, of hip hop hero, hey, but that's not even like hard, that's not even easy to say. Like that's like a tongue twister, right? But the cadence was there, the pocket was kind of there, and then the producer's like, nah, what about hip hop hooray? Oh, and it's like, yo, that flow way better, and it makes more sense. What's happening now is he's kind of we're meshing basically. So it's real easy months down the line to be like, did you come up with that hook or did I come up with that hook? Like it's really easy to be like, nah, I came up with that hook. Why? Because I literally said hip hop hero, ray, roll, ray, which is dumb, but I came up with the cadence of it and he like leveled it up. And because my initial idea was there, it's not challenging to be like, nah, I came up with that because it low key did kind of like start with me. Not even low key. It started with me. So later on when it's like, yeah, and so I wrote the hook. It's like, whoa. Did you really write the hook? It can get sticky. Another instance is you're in the studio with friends, loved ones, family members, people that you've known forever, and you start fiddling around with things. Here's a perfect example. I'm going to come back to that example in a second, but my brother played a song for me the other day that he was writing, and I was like, ooh, I love it. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. It's excellent. It's so well written. I love what you're saying in the verse. You're killing it. And I said, but maybe, hold on, just maybe, this is what your hook should sound like. And I wrote him a hook real quick, like boom, right there on the spot. And I said, because you want to maximize off of this and you want to like make sure that people understand that this is what you're saying and this is how you breaking it down over here. And he heard it. He was like, okay, wait, sing it again. So I sang it again. Mind you, we're not in the studio. We're literally in my house because my house is being renovated right now. He's, I don't know, knocking down walls and I'm singing him this hook. And he's like, okay, I like it. So what did I do? I said, voice note. I sang the voice note. I titled it Tanikka Hook Alternate. And then in his notes, where he had all of his, like, I wrote this part, I wrote Tanikka Charraé Hook Alternate. And what does that do? That literally means that, yeah, she wrote me this hook. And I know, because what he kept saying was like, I mean, it just feels a little bit wordy. So I don't know if I'm going to use it as a hook, but I might use it as a bridge. Whatever's clever. But guess what we do know? Tanikka Charraé wrote it. That's my brother. Like my brother. What does that mean? Do I think he's gonna rip me off? No. Do I think he's gonna do me dirty? No. But when it comes down to like details, especially when you're putting a project out not immediately, but you're putting it out later. Okay, I'm not putting this project out tomorrow. I'm putting this project out in 3 months. And typically that's a thing. I still gotta market this thing. I gotta figure out, what direction I want it to go. I gotta figure out how I want it to look. I gotta figure out all of these other elements. I still gotta get it mixed. I still got all of you lose track of the details. You just do. And when something becomes innate in you, because usually over this period of time, you're singing it over and over, you're rapping it over and over, you're doing all the things, you forget, oh, dang, I ain't come up with that. Oh, man, I didn't write that. Oh, man, who did? I remember I wrote a song one time, and I promise you, I wrote this song, and I had maybe 7 different producers touch it, and I could not remember who was the final producer and who was doing a lot of the production. And that was terrible. It was so terrible. And I felt so guilty that I did not put the project out. Thank you, ADD. But it's true. You really legitimately lose track of, you think you're going to be on it. You think you're going to remember. You think you're going to be like, oh, yeah, I got this. But when you start getting into a creative mode and you start gelling and you start, I guess I could use vibing, I would say, off of the other person. Your ideas really become synchronized and you don't know who did what. And a lot of times, a lot of people beef and have all of these unnecessary legal issues off of pride and off of not taking the time to really take accountability of like, you know what? Let's just be smart. Like, let's just legally, like, I want us to win. And that's the other thing. I read this book a long time ago about leaders, and it's like, you should never go into a situation where you're just like, I want to get my point across. I'm just trying to do blah, 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 blah. No, you should really go into a situation wanting a win-win. Like, you should be like, okay, I want you to win and I want me to win, right? So how do we protect both of us, and how do both of us ensure that we're winning? And a lot of times people aren't going in there with that mindset. They're just kind of like, I mean, you don't want to kill the vibe. It's like, what? So you going to kill the buzz of the vibe now versus later when we in court with millions and millions and millions of dollars on the line? That's not wise. That's just not smart. It's not. With friends and vibe, I probably didn't know. Exactly. You don't know, because at this point it's just a free for all. And yeah, you want to be able to be, you don't want to mess that up because there is a flow to that. But somebody needs to take account to it. Somebody needs to pay attention. Somebody needs to be the one that's like, remember you wrote them 3 lines to this such and such. Like you want it to be like a thing where everybody is covered. You want to protect everyone's interest. So for me, the response to that is, I don't ever think it's too early to bust out a contract. I think that contracts protect everybody that's involved. And I think that anybody who says something along the lines of, oh man, you trying to kill the vibe, or oh man, I think that there's a lack of wisdom in that. And I think that those are the folks that are either trying to get over. I mean, I'm gonna just call a spade a spade. They're the people that either trying to get over, or they're not necessarily contributing creatively so much to what's happening. And so they'd rather prefer it to be just one big melting meshy pot, so that at the end you just kind of like, I mean, we could just split it 50-50, right? Knowing that they contributed 10%. You really, again, it goes back to principle number 1, day 1. What did we discuss on becoming a business savvy singer? It is you thinking of yourself as a business. I keep using McDonald's. I promise y'all, I have not eaten at McDonald's in years, but for whatever reason, they're amazing in terms of what they do. They're still in business. They're all over the world. They're all over the globe. So when we look at things business wise, that's why I keep using them. But when I think about the movie that showed how McDonald's happened, like homeboy, businessman, what's his name? Angelina Jolie's ex-husband. That's the only thing I can refer to him as, because I can't. Billy Bob Thornton, right? I think that's his name. He played the crooked businessman that literally took McDonald's from 2 brothers. What did he do? He paid them $1 million. Now, somebody would say, I mean, it's $1 million. That's awesome. Back in the 70s, it's $1 million. Bruh. I promise you, I don't eat McDonald's because I don't eat it in the States. I will eat it sometimes overseas because it's a completely different McDonald's. But the fact that there's a McDonald's overseas, there's like in some Asian spots, there's like an Asian catered McDonald's with like Thai chicken and all the things. And it's like, are this man had the foresight to pay these brothers $1 million, get a contract to steal McDonald's from them, and we got McDonald's in Singapore. What? No, it wasn't. Oh wow, yeah, because if you study McDonald's, aside from the crooked business practices, obviously that home, and honestly, here's the tricky part of it: he wasn't even crooked technically. He was unethical, but he wasn't crooked. He paid them people, hey, I want to pay y'all this $1 million for your company. And the brothers asked them, they were like, why are you so pressed about McDonald's? And that man responded to them and said, because it's the American dream. So he had enough foresight to be like, yo, I know what I can do with this. Like, I know how to sell this American dream to people. And he had an ironclad little contract, paid them people a little $1 million, and kept it put. You know them brothers is kicking themselves. Paid them $1 million and was out of there. So this is why imagine if he was so unethical that he just didn't pay them anything and was like, yeah, I'm out of here. Contracts are important. And I say to study McDonald's because they just really good at like marketing and business. And like the what I was where I was going with that was the very first principle, the very first thing that I said was, remember, you are a business. We're attempting to be, not attempting to be, we are being business savvy singers. And what does that look like? That looks like, oh, okay, this is a business. Like, this just isn't just, hey, I sing for fun and, oh yeah, you can pay me whatever, or you can, yeah. No, you got to look at it as a business. So when you think that way, oh yeah, contracts, absolutely. I did a commercial for my homegirl who is doing her own skincare line, and was like, all right, so I've signed, made this contract. You can take a look over, and here's what it is. A commercial for, I mean, we're not talking about CoverGirl. We're not talking about Revlon. We're not talking about Mael even. This is my homegirl whose business has yet to fully take off in the capacity that she wants it to. And I still was like, sure, I'll do the commercial for it, the music, I'll write the song, all the things. Her cousin, he produces, he's one of my producers. I said, Yanti's gonna do such and such and such and such. Here's the contract. And you just look it over and let me know what you think. And yeah, we can move forward. Yup, Master P turned down $1 million. Yup, you have to know. It's knowing your worth, and then in addition to that, knowing to protect yourself. Like, okay, I know that this is a business and I'm contributing in this way, and this will maximize. So at the same time, I need to give myself the best opportunity for this whole thing to succeed. So contracts are necessary. Like, they just are. They're I think people are really turned off by contracts because they're turned off by business when it comes to creativity. But I mean, it's like, you sign a contract at work. You don't think you don't? When you come in and they say, hey, could you come in Friday before starting Monday? We just want to get your paperwork all lined up. You don't think that's a contract? Let me tell you, it is. We sign contracts in everything. We sign contracts when we are buying a house. We sign contracts when we are buying a car. We sign contracts when, your kids are going to daycare. Why are we not signing contracts, or why are we so about contracts when it comes to creativity? Now, I will also say that you don't have to be like, I'm sorry, you're trying to work with me. Sign this contract. There's obviously a way of doing it. There's tact that's involved. But once you start to see that it's moving in the space of this becoming something. You sign contracts when you sign record labels. You sign contracts when you a commercial wants to use your music. Like, contracts are needed and necessary because they are holding people accountable. We live in a world right now that doesn't like accountability. Any which and way that they can dodge it, they do. Why? Because operating in the gray is so much easier. It's so much easier for me to be like, you remember who wrote what, when, where, and how, than for you to be like, nah, you wrote this and then you wrote that line. I was singing a song over the other day that I sang, that I wrote, and I co-wrote it with the producer. And I was thinking of the first two lines, and I was like, yo, he came up with them first two lines. Them Jones was hot. He came up with the music. He helped me with a couple of the other lines within the rap. And I just thought to myself, like, yo, that was a really good song, and it was a great collaboration, but he really helped me out a lot in that song. And I remember writing the song. And what I like to do is when I'm writing the song, I'll write my verse. And if somebody's writing something or contributing to it, I'll put that part in parentheses. So like usually it'll just be like, cause I don't really write with a lot of folks, but I'm just speaking of if I'm writing one-on-one with someone, I'll put that part in parentheses, and I already know, okay, I had this session with B Double, and this was the part he contributed because it's in parentheses. When there are other people involved, like a lot of times, another thing I'll do is I'll run the voice note. Yep, let's run that back, because if you can hear right here, I was the one that gave that note. And it's not like ooh, look what I did. Ooh, this is what I contributed. It's not even that. It's literally, I promise you, you literally lose track of the details. And once people just want something off the ground and the go, they're just yesing and okaying and and anything. And it's like, nah, like you don't want to get in the habit of doing business that way. You don't want to get in the habit of that. You just don't. You want to really be responsible in what it is that you're doing, what it is that you're contributing, what it is that you've done, because it's keeping a track record of you and your creativity. It doesn't have to be so micromanaged. And if you don't want to mess the flow up, here's a really simple way to actually have a contract without something being written yet. Run the voice note and let people know, hey, you know what? I'm about to just hit record on the voice note. Matter of fact, can you hit record in the studio? Yo, just let the mic run. Just let it run. That is a form of a contract, because at this point, you know that I sang this part. At this point, you know that I wrote this part. At this point, we know you wrote this and you contributed such and such. It doesn't even have to kill the vibe, if you will. But it's something that's tangible that you can go back to and you can recognize and you can remember who did what and where and when and how. I promise you, it gets really red flaggy when folks don't want to subscribe to contracts. When they don't want to be like, you know. I know mad people that have gotten screwed over because they went along with the, like, oh, we don't want to mess up the flow. Like, let's just such and such and such and such. And nothing, they didn't protect themselves. The voice note, I mean, everybody's phone, Android and iPhone alike, has a voice note on it. And if you don't, you can download it. That voice note is a lifesaver. Just let that thing run. Okay, stop it every 10 minutes, bring it on back. Bring it on back, and then go back. And then people are like, well, who's reviewing that? The person that is treating themselves as a business and want their business to succeed. You have to think of your business first. And it's not necessarily being so anal and so like, about it. It's literally protecting yourself and thinking of yourself as a business. The moment you don't think of yourself as a business is the moment you've already put yourself back in the hobby. We already got a video on that and how to know if you're a professional singer or a hobby singer. And you just out here giving all your creativity away for fun. And you know what? If that's what you into, then that's what you be into. But don't come to me telling me that you try and be a singer and you a professional singer and you not taking accountability for your actions and the things that you're doing, and you're not holding anyone else to, because I don't want to mess up the vibe. Bro, there's so many ways around that. There's so many ways around that. You know how like you on the phone and you're on the phone with a creditor and they're like, this call may be recorded. They got to tell you that, right? This call may be recorded for training purposes. So you just be up in that studio and you say, hey, I'm going to record this, just so that we could flow. We just know who did what, whatever. Just so we could flow. We can have a point of reference to go back to. I promise you, most folks are not going to be like, if you're scared, like you're working with a new artist or you're working with a big time artist, like you, that does not hurt you at all. It doesn't hurt you to say that and do that at all. Like, oh man, we flowing. Let me just let this record real quick. What you got? What you got? And let it just be free flowing. And know, especially also, another contract I do want to bring up in 2 seconds, but know that, be willing that if they're like, yo, let's sign an NDA. Okay, this is for my ears only anyway. This is just for this to get better or to get tighter. Like, anyway, so say I keep talking about Missy because she's one of my favorites ever. But say Missy is like, Tanikka, like I wanna do these records on you. Let's do them. Let's do them. All right. Well, first let's get in the studio and let's just sit down and let's just rock out and see what we come up with. All right, cool. When I'm sitting in there with Missy, I'm gonna hit record. Hey, Miss, like I'm gonna just hit this. Let's record and let's just see what flow out. Or let's just have something that's just, let's just see what flows out. Oh, okay, cool. Let's do it. And then you do it and you're flowing. And then what happens at the end, or may happen at the end, or probably what happened at the beginning, if they really good business people, they might say, all right, we're going to sign an NDA. This is like private and this is between us. An NDA is a non-disclosure agreement. What does that mean? That means that I'm going to be like, that means that this recording that I got is for she and I. This recording is not about to be put on blast. This recording, I can't put it on social media. This recording, I'm not finna talk about it or I'm going to get sued. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. The problem is that a lot of people are so concerned about the clout. They're so concerned about what things look like that they're not even processing the work part into it. They're more concerned about what it looks like on social media and the gram and how people are perceiving them, that they're missing and messing up their entire business. When McDonald's, back to my McDonald's, when McDonald's goes and says, hey, we're going to try out the McDuck. I don't know, guys. We're going to try out the McDuck burger, okay? And we're just going to see how it works. But we're going to do like a focus group. You don't think they having them people sign NDAs, but yet being very descriptive of what the McDuck is given to them? Hey, how you feel about the McDuck? Well, it really does make me want to quack. I love it. It's great. It's giving me all the things that I'm looking for. But they're signing NDAs, but nonetheless, they're engrossed on what's happening. And McDonald's is taking notes and they're like, okay, I don't really like the sauce. I don't think it's that good. You have to think of yourself as a business. Why would I want these different opportunities to go by the wayside for no apparent reason when I grinded? I mean, is grind even a word? I mean, grinded is definitely not. But when I grinded to get it, I don't want that. I don't want that. So I have to be wise on like, okay, this is a stepping stone. Because remember, we talk about it all the time. We're attempting to establish longevity. Longevity comes with knowing exactly what's doing what, having a plan, having steps to take said plan, and goals on how we're hitting that. You don't just hit that all willy-nilly just off the cuff. Like sometimes you do, sometimes you're in the studio and you vibing out. Cool, let the vibe happen. Okay, y'all all doing the most. Y'all doing all these different. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. And even in those moments, make sure you know what you contributed. And have a discussion with whomever is running the business portion of that other person's business. You in there with, I like to reference my little fake rappers, Hot Fire. You say, you pull little Hot Fire's business manager to the side like, oh, so we plan on putting this out or what are we doing with this? Oh, we are? Okay. So how do you guys plan on, divvying up? Because I know that I contributed this line and this line and this, and then you guys wanted me to sing this, this, and this. You wanted me to sing, I don't want to be a player no more, right? Right. Yeah. That was me. So how are you guys? Do you guys have any split sheets? Now, here's the other thing. It is always great to be prepared. Have the things on you and with you. Because then it's not such a moment. Like it doesn't give the people like a second to, yeah. It's like, oh, yo, I got these split sheets. Yeah, we could do it right now. You want me? I'm gonna text you. Let's not make it a thing. You don't have to make it a thing. One of the biggest things about business and businesses is being prepared, coming prepared. Okay, I'm coming with this. I'm coming with that. I'm doing this. I'm doing, okay, cool. So come and be prepared. And at the same time, you going to the studio. It's like, okay, I'm going to the studio just to hang out, but this could be something else. You got to remember that because you're a business and you actually have this talent, it could actually become something else. So you got to be prepared that this may become something else. If you don't want to be involved in whatever else this could come, don't go to the studio or leave. You know what? This ain't really my scene. I was going to say that preparation meets opportunity. Absolutely. And if you are ill prepared, like you can really, really shoot yourself in the foot. You can really, really set yourself up. You can really like be like, dang, all right, I done missed this whole thing, but you're accountable for yourself. That's the main point I'm trying to drive home is like, you really have to think about yourself. Like, you know what? All right, I know that this hook is finna be the littest hook in hook history. And I know that I wrote 80% of it. So I need to figure out what that is and what that looks like. You might not pay me today, but let's talk publishing. Let's talk about what you plan to do with this. Oh, you plan to put this in a movie? Oh, that's another check. And I'm not trying to get people to be money driven. And if you see my other videos, that's the main thing I say. Like, don't be so follow driven and money driven. What I'm trying to get you to do is think of yourself as a business. If you think of yourself as a business, thank you. Serve gets it. Long term. That's literally the main thing I'm preaching the whole time. I'm always like, you want longevity. And when you look at yourself as longevity, you're not looking at yourself for these cheap thrills. You're looking at yourself as a business. You're like, all right, what do I need to do to plant these seeds for this business to take root and for this to really pop off? It's not the short game. And a lot of times we're in a microwave generation where everything is about the short game, and it's just not. It's like, okay, so what does look like? And sometimes you have to have a bunch of uncomfortable conversations and hard conversations. You are the asset. Yes. If you're in that position now, if somebody else is like you in the studio and you're trying to get somebody else, you got to respect the fact that they're coming with their talent and they're contributing to your song. And so they may be like, hey, let's discuss how we plan on doing this. Like, don't be so weirded out by accountability and creativity. Which is why I'm saying I don't think that I don't think there's any time that's too early to have a conversation about contracts. I just think that if something creative is being done and it's intending to go somewhere and do something, by all means. Now, there's a whole bunch of songs that just sit on the shelf and they never make it to anything or anywhere. And that's okay too. But guess who's covered? Just in case, because then those songs may, a decade later, find their way to some random producer who's chopping up your hook and throwing it in Hot Fire's newest, latest, and greatest record that has now hit Netflix and is streaming worldwide. And you ain't nowhere to be found in terms of the legality of it. You tell your lawyer, I wrote that song, I wrote that hook. And he's like, oh, word? You got some paperwork on it? You got something that shows that you did? And you're like, nah. I have a friend, so sad, obviously not going to drop his name, but nonetheless, he's like, on this album, I can't drop the album either, but let's just say they're one of my favorite vocalists ever. And it's not anyone I've ever worked with. Yeah, I've not worked with them. Anyway, he told me like, oh, let me stop. Let me not hit sorry. He told me like, that first album, second album, and third album, I actually played on and have some production on. And I don't have no credit for it. I don't have no publishing. I think maybe by the fourth album he got it because he started getting some publishing. But like them first 2-3 albums, not a nan. And those first 2 or 3 albums were classics. And I was like, no. But I say that to say, if that wasn't a lesson, I was like, dang. And that was like my ace, boom, coon. When I tell you, we was writing with local artists and we had paperwork on them. You just, it's not anything wrong with paperwork. You don't have to bully people and like smush contracts in folks' faces. But you really want to know what you've contributed. You really want to account for what they've contributed. And I'm speaking specifically right now on writing, and I've been talking about it regarding writing and songwriting and all of that, and even vocal production falls under that umbrella. But the same is true for everything. You want to put a manager in place. Okay, let's spell out exactly what it is that you are going to do, and I'm going to spell out what my expectations are. And in addition to that, we're going to put a time frame on it too. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that, because guess what? 6 months later, Uncle Bobo, who is living in a garage, who still ain't level you up, and you like, yo, Bobo, I'm ready to cut you off. Oh no, our contract is for 12 months. We got a whole nother 6 months to go. But Bobo, you ain't even do all the things you said you was going to do. I mean, times is hard, or but you can't even hold him accountable, because you don't. What's Bubba supposed to do? Bubba doing exactly what he was always going to do. Same is true. And get comfortable with asking your homies, asking some people that, like, maybe have been in the game a little longer than you. Like, just ask and figure it out. Because don't ever have the mentality of, and this kind of goes with what Surf said, you're the asset. Don't have the mentality of like, oh man, this is such a great opportunity. Like, I'm lucky to be here. It's like, nah, you're not lucky. I don't believe in luck anyway, but you're not lucky to be there. You are a business. Treat yourself like such and understand, like, all right, I got this opportunity. So let me make the most of it in the best way. And I'm equally as talented. I just haven't been awarded a bunch of these opportunities like some of these other people. And guess what? If something fall apart on a mere mention of a contract, that's indicative of a yikes. So yeah, I hope this was helpful. I don't think it's never too early to sign a I was about to say a prenup, which happens to be a contract. But I wasn't going to say that. I don't mean that. To really figure out some paperwork and figuring out contracts. I think also there's a way of doing it. I think there's a tastefulness, but I think that the biggest part of it all is you want to cover yourself. You want to cover your business, and you want to ensure that you're good. Like it's your business. You obviously, like I said earlier, you want to go into the situation with a win-win. And at the same time, your priority is yourself. You think McDonald's is checking for Burger King? Let me answer that. Yes, they are, because that's their competition. But no, they're not, because that's not their company. You see what I'm saying? You think that McDonald's is checking for the public, the people that's coming to eat for them? Yes, they are. But then at the same time, they're like, okay, but y'all ain't running McDonald's over here. We're paying attention to y'all because, y'all are the consumer. But y'all ain't making the real decisions over here. Y'all not making the fiscal decisions. Y'all aren't, running the actual business aside from your contribution in, consumerism. But outside of that, like, we still got to make these decisions over here for our business. That's how you have to look at your business. Okay, I am a business. Okay, I am. Yep. And it even goes in. Someone wants you to do a song, or someone wants you to do something, and you're like, man, that does not go with my brand at all. But yo, this is probably the biggest. I don't know. Let's say Bad Bunny says, Tanikka, you Latina too, okay? And I really want to do this song with you. Oh, Bad Bunny, man, you're huge, okay? You're killing it in your own way. But you don't really go with what I got going on. I'm not really into what you're into. So it's going to have to be a hard no for me. And you got to be all right with that. Like, it's not, it's my business. I'm allowed to be like, nah. Like, get in the habit of understanding that you're not missing out on opportunities just because they've presented themselves. And that's right. Just because they've presented themselves and you have to just jump on it and take it. No. Know yourself, know your brand, know your business, know what it is futuristically that you want to look like and be, and trust in that. I mean, I say trust God first, obviously, but trust in that. Say, all right, I don't really see myself with all of Bunny's ridiculous lyrics being all right, putting out a record with Bad Bunny. I think while it seems opportunistic, I don't think it's for me. I think it's a no, trust in your business and what you're trying to do as a business, and once you've established what that is, get some paperwork on it. That is my message for today. I don't think it's ever too early to have contracts. I think that contracts are great. And I would also encourage you that if someone presents to you a contract, to read it. Like, really know what you're getting into. Like, that's the biggest thing. And I know I'm guilty of it too, in terms of like apps and stuff like that. And you signing up for all types of things. You're like, what in the world did I subscribe to? Really take the time specifically regarding your business, your business of creativity, in reading that paperwork and things that you don't understand. Look, Dr. Google's right here. Look that thing up. And if you can't, I mean, obviously I would recommend you taking it to your lawyer first. However, lawyers can be costly, but still look it up. Like, don't knock yourself on being like, oh man, they're gonna want me to sign this right now. Let me just make a decision and do it. Don't do that. Know what you signing. Know what you're coming in agreement with, because that's all a contract is. I'm coming in agreement with this. This is what I'm accountable for. That's what they're accountable for. I co-sign that agreement. And that's real. That's real. You do not want to come into agreement with a bunch of things that ain't got nothing to do with you and won't have anything to do with you. So contracts are crucial. They're important. There's nothing wrong with having contracts. It doesn't even matter if you're doing a small scale thing. Contracts are really helpful. They really, really, really are. And it doesn't mean that you got a contract and now you're just ready to run to the court and sue people. It doesn't mean that. It means that I'm operating as a business. So when I am frustrated with maybe you not holding up your end of the bargain, or if I'm not holding up my end of the bargain, we could talk about it, because contractually that's what we both subscribe to. And there's nothing wrong with that. You sign a contract when you get cable. You sign a contract when you get internet. I just keep thinking of all these random contracts that we're all signed up for. You sign a contract when you get a cell phone. Why would we not take our business seriously and start to really get paperwork on whatever area that is? So I hope that this was helpful. I hope that this was enlightening. I hope that this took out signing up for protecting yourself, because that's how I would prefer you to look at it. I'm signing up to protect myself. I'm signing up for the best interest of my business. And that's it. That's all I got. So again, if this was helpful, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Please feel free to share. That would be really helpful as well. Oh yes, come on, mental stimulation. That's awesome. But please feel free to share this. I really want to empower. My niche is singers. However, this is actually really good for creatives in general. You do jujitsu for a living. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. But I want to empower folks to thank you. I appreciate that. To really take their business seriously and to move as a business, because the moment you don't, you kind of miss it, and you kind of shoot your own self in the foot, if you will. So that's all I got for today. Thank you all for joining me. I really appreciate it. Please feel free to check out all the other videos as well, because it really I would say it's the beginning of a business plan for creatives in general, and how to really operate and have longevity in a creative career. Do not subscribe to the fact that you cannot have a creative career, if you will, like our 9-to-5er counterparts. You can. You genuinely can. It just takes intentionality and it takes knowledge. And that's all I really want to impart on folks. So, all right. Peace. I'm out of here.